All right, now we are on live, and we can wait for some guys to join this live stream. And I know I still having some echoes with myself, but I will keep myself stay out of here, and you guys just can, um,
Do the
you know,
talking.
yeah, do the talking, just do the talking. So,
Yeah,
Phil,
correct.
I'll introduce you later when we have a certain amount of viewers at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just have some free warm chattings. Do you have you got all your work sorted out for the day?
Yeah, all my work sorted out now. Yeah, all good to go.
Yeah, and how about
Everything's
Carl?
done.
My work is done. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so when the kids come home, that's when my job starts again.
How was the kid going? How's the kid?
How are my kids?
Yeah,
Full of energy. They should be
full
tired
of
after
it.
school, but they're not. Yeah, I've got 4 children.
Yeah, I know you. I heard you have your
Is that
sound.
without sound?
Yeah, your sound is without sound.
Is it?
Who's without sound? Because we can apparently hear as well. And I would like to know if you are watching our live stream and tell us if we are all clear to you. The sound are all clear to you guys. Okay. Yeah. Phil and Carl, can you see all the comments in our live stream?
No, I can't. No.
No.
No, can't see anything.
All clear. Can hear. Okay, I think it's so Leia, you probably need to find out your own device to see if it's open, your mic is open, or speaker is open. But hey, guys, we are so honored to welcome two of our users in the of the Creality, and they are really comfortable, and we have invited them to join this live stream is particularly to talk about the World Cup, because now you know since the World Cup has started, and the whole world is crazy about this, and we will also wanted to know if you guys are also with us to watch the games. And I know now the game has started. Is Germany versus Japan at the
Yeah,
moment.
today, right.
Yeah. And let's talk about the game of this one first. So we have Phil here. Phil is also a YouTuber with the channel name of
3DB UK. Yeah,
Yes.
3DP UK or 3.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you guys can now see their own names and right in the live stream. And Cal is one of the brilliant user admins.
So Shinun is our fans, right? Our creative fan.
Who?
Shinun Ao.
Yeah.
Hey,
Mr. Al. Yeah.
Mr. Ao.
Yeah.
Hi. So I think you speak Cantonese, right? So whoever next to Larry. So hi, I'm Frankie here. So if you attended the following live stream, it's me again.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. And Frankie, she didn't have too many live streams with me before. And this time we have got her because Frankie is actually working as a role of the media party department in Creality.
I focus on PR because my job is PR. Today in today's live stream, I don't say too many PR-ish things. And maybe it's this live stream because afterwards I will do the writing work, the writer. So I'll write about our live stream and doing content, everything. So that's why I attend. I will be asking questions and I will do the story.
Yeah, and Frankie, she is really good at asking questions because she was a journalist back in Hong Kong, and she used to work as a journalist. And she have already prepared some couple of questions to our guests here to Phil, both Carl. And back to this game. So I would like to ask your opinions about the result of the game. So Phil, you gotta start with first.
Okay, so are we going to talk about England's game? Yeah, is that what we
Yeah,
want?
you can, of course.
please.
Let's go with England. England tend to have a very bad first game normally in all major tournaments, so it's very rare that we get a good win like that. Iran are a very good side still, still in the, I believe, in the top 20 of the FIFA ranking, so they're still a good side. Whether that takes us to the next game on Friday against the USA depends. I always find that England show the fans that they're going to do well, and then all of a sudden they'll lose the next game. So I'm still hopeful that we'll get out of the group with 3 wins out of 3. I don't see any reason why not with the team that we've got. We've got a very good young side. And our manager, Gareth Southgate, has seemed to have got the team to a level now that we've all hoped for since, well, 1966 for some of us. But yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, very long time. I wasn't too keen on the group when it was first announced. I always find that England play better against the bigger sides. I was hoping to have, I don't know, Argentina or something like that. I think that sometimes brings the best. Well, get rid of the best at the beginning. And going from their result yesterday might have been quite a good score if we was to play. Yeah.
It's pretty much a score that very few people have put in the Red guys on the final result, because I personally bet on 2-0. But turns out, yeah, they're really crazy about that. So, Karl, how did you think about the game last night?
Oh, England's game. Do you know what? I was a bit surprised because we had an absolute dreadful Nations League. So prior to that, and Harry Kane still hasn't scored for 8 games now for England.
Yeah.
You know, normally he's our talisman who puts the ball in the back of the net and we win 1-0 and progress. It was nice to see the young ones scoring.
Yeah.
Because I think Saka had a really difficult 2 years since the Euros. He took his goals well. It was nice to see Jack Grealish get a goal.
Yeah.
You know, I think Phil's right. We've got a really young team, but we've also got a lot of experience, say, in the squad. So we've got John Stones, who's 27 now, who I think's probably. I actually think he's probably our best central defender in the whole of the league. He's brilliant, and I'm biased because he played for Everton, but he just reads the game so well.
He does.
And we probably have one of the better keepers in goal as well, Pickford, who just he makes saves that you don't believe is possible, and he does pull it out. Will we beat America? We should do. We should do, but the problem is when we're playing against the not so strong teams, like Phil says, they up their game. Where we're at a level where we're consistent, and America will step up to, and Wales. It's going to be like it's a derby, the Wales game. And the last time we played, it was quite. It was a feisty affair, but
intense. Yeah.
I see. We've had this conversation last week. I still believe Germany will win the World Cup.
Yes, it was also a surprise to me myself because I forgot to introduce to our viewers yet because Phil and Karl, in case you don't know, they are from Britain and they all back for the England, and it's so weird and they're not back on the Wales. But
I can see comments that they think like France will win and anything. Yeah, we all have our own support.
Right.
I'm quite fortunate. I live about 20 miles away from Wales, so I actually.
Wales is not your first team to support.
No, I live above Liverpool, so I'm quite central to like Manchester, Liverpool. We've got Blackburn and Preston, so around our way, the northwest is quite busy with big Premier League teams, and you know
Yeah.
championship
And
teams.
here's my question for me myself. So you were literally lived in England, in Britain, right? So do you see the culture in different area that have different football culture, like England is, and compares to Wales, the people in Wales?
Um, I think British football is always going to be British football. I was raised in Germany because my dad was in the British
Yeah.
Army. So I spent 15, 16 years playing football in Germany, learning to speak German, living the German way. And it is a different way, the football to here. And I think after France won the World Cup in '98, I think there was a massive cry for help in the grassroots football in this country, because what France did was started a process of educating young boys and young girls now, but they're educating boys and girls on the right pathway, about diets and about keeping fit and about rehab, and this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. The pressure on kids these days is immense. It's 1 in 120,000 in this country as an English Premier League player.
And Phil, what do you think about that? The different areas, the different culture of the football.
Yeah, so Cole lives up north of England, so I'm in south of England. So yeah, I think across the UK in general, so England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, the culture around football is pretty much the same, but everyone has a different way of approaching it, and how you would emphasize that teaching to a player. So like Carl said, we have a great grassroots football. When I was coaching many years ago, the grassroots was poor. There was no funding. It wasn't really encouraged, both at school. It wasn't encouraged by parents of the players. So we probably lost a generation of great footballers, probably around the 90s and the early 2000s, where we could potentially have a World Cup way before we're discussing this now. But I think now that the FA and culture has changed in the UK, there's a lot more money being put into it. So it's like anything, the more money you put it and the more effort, the more it's broadcasted to the wider public. And it's now accepted that if you was to ask in a classroom of children now, compared to 20, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, everybody would want to be a doctor or anything like a major profession, dentist. But now I want to be a footballer, both female and male, which is great to see, because I know we're talking about the male World Cup. For me, the female World Cup and Euros and stuff like that is absolutely amazing now. And that goes to show that money and interest creates a wider audience. So that goes for anything, really.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there that especially in this country, the female side of the sport now is a lot more popular. I think so. Man City have a really, really big women's team. They're fantastic, and they play. So Everton Football Club's ladies used to play in my town, so we used to go and watch them. And I've never seen 3,500 away fans from any team visiting that stadium. And Man City brought 3,500 fans. And that was 4 years ago. It's just, it's incredible. And like Phil's saying about grassroots in this country, it's the best time to be involved at the moment. And McDonald's isn't the healthiest, but my God, they put some money into grassroots football. I coach grassroots team. My team is now under 12s. I've been coaching them since under 8s. We're part of Southport Football Club, and our first team is in the 6th division in England. So they're in the Northwest Conference, which is semi-professional. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm part of the panel, so I'm involved with doing some of the checks to make sure that the adults are safe to be training kids. I'm part of making sure that we have policies in place to protect children. And right now we are trying to push really hard for females and girls. We have a girls' first team, but we are seriously trying to push So we are sponsoring girls' teams in primary schools now.
Right, I really agree with that. So overly speaking, Phil really mentioned about the financial stuff. The financial thing came into the football. So the children generation can be well cultivated in the culture of the football. And me myself has really also have the feeling on that because I strongly agree on the basic constructions with the football court, with the grass, how good it is, and many football pitch we have in one city, and that is really important because if the government doesn't really taking any care about the football, about building the culture, there's no way you can have a strong team or have cultivated a culture of football. So nowadays in China, because this is where I've been live up, and in China we used to, it's pretty same in the other countries. The government used to having neglect about football.
But I think
Training.
overall it's all about interest, Like you like football yourself, coach your kids and you coach your kids and other kids in the neighborhood, and I think that's most important,
Interest is something, but when you don't have the
infrastructure.
Infrastructures,
Okay.
and when you don't have the pitch to play the ball, you probably will just remain the interest inside of yourself. They won't be exposed every day because football is a game that you have to play it. I don't say every day, but it's at least 1 week for months. So pitch, you don't have the time, you don't have the playground. So how would you keep going your interest? So this is very important. And Carl also talking about the city because I heard Manchester. Manchester, the people in Manchester, of course, I believe the people in there, nobody doesn't matter the elders or the children. They definitely see or hear something. People talking about their teams in Manchester because they have two teams there, Manchester Union and the Manchester.
Well, there's Man United, there's Man City.
Yeah,
I actually,
league there.
I live closer to Liverpool, so I've got Everton Football Club, and there's another team. I can't remember what they're called, but they're playing red. But then there's another team as well we call Tranmere, which play in the first division. And around here, football's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge, and it's kids' lives. Kids will watch YouTube or watch football matches, and I guarantee when I go to training on Thursday with my boys, they will be copying exactly what they're seeing on TV. Because you see it in games. It's that they want to be the next Messi, they want to be the next Ronaldo, they want to be the next Dembala, they want to be the next Harry Kane, and I was fortunate to live in Germany. My German was dreadful when I was like 12 or 13. I didn't have to speak any German because it was football that I was playing. I didn't. They did their best with their broken English, and I started learning the language. And I didn't need to speak German because it was a game of football.
Everybody knows how to play it.
Yeah. If I got on a plane and went to Argentina, it's still football.
Yeah, even we don't speak English, but literally all the football fans or the boys have heard the sound, which is from it's called "Don't Look Back in the Egg." Have you heard that? No. It's like saying, yeah. So even I don't speak. Most of the Chinese, they don't speak Chinese. They don't speak English, but they hear. They love the sound. Don't look back in anger, and they know how to see the games there because the other countries like Germany, the professional league in Germany, or the professional league in Spain or England. We all love to watch it, even though we have the jet lag in here.
Yeah.
When your game starts, we're about in the middle of the night, and huge amount of the people still stay up in the night just to watch the game, even though they probably don't know the language. They still can very enjoy themselves when watching the team playing. But
Football.
practically, we Chinese don't have this top league in the world, and we have lots of things. We have lost a lot of things. So yeah, I'm so jealous of you guys. So you can tell us more about that, because probably you have been, seeing a star or a professional player in your area grown up into the public and even to the World Cup. I think this is really good experience for you to see that, and that can have affect a lot of youngsters to have the dream of becoming the player, the same as like Kane or same like Saka for the young guys. And the very important thing in last game about England versus Iran, and one guy really, the young guys have been emerging, have been showing up themselves. I thought Kane would have some scores, have one score or two, but finally he didn't, and it turns out that a bunch of the young players, they carried up the whole team, and we can see the future of the England is really promising.
Yeah. The thing with Harry Kane is,
One of my questions.
I could potentially be a massive critic of Harry Kane because, he hasn't scored a few goals for a few games, but
one assist. Yeah.
But what he did was he kept those central defenders from Iran busy. His movement off the ball created space, and that's what football's about. Sometimes you have to be selfish, and he was being exceedingly selfish by not scoring.
Yeah, it wasn't. It also shows that the team inside of the England, they are very solid. They're really good.
That's been a problem with England for a lot of World Cups and Euro Championships, is we've relied on individual players. So Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney, David Beckham. We're a team, we're not individuals. And I think what Gareth Southgate's done with our squad is made it into a team.
Yeah, you mentioned very important keywords about teamwork. It's kind of not a solo game. One player can be a hero and be a star and win an award, but finally, actually, it's about teamwork. You didn't do it yourself. So I think you mentioned a very important thing. And also, since we talk about football, actually, I prepared a question about football. It's actually about you mentioned teamwork. So how do you think football inspires people and change people's lives? Actually, we've talked about something you mentioned, girls and females can play football and change their lives. And especially those younger generations. I know Karl, you're a coach, and your kids are playing.
He was also a coach.
Okay, was a coach. Are you still a coach now? Phil?
No, he's a scientist. My scientist.
Crazy scientist.
Yeah, I was trying to find some crazy hair for you because a little bit lacking there. I was going to try and get crazy white hair just to give you that mad scientist look. But
yeah, so we talk about this question, but can we elaborate a bit further? How do you think that football can change people's lives, and especially those younger generations, whether male or female? Give us some examples.
Okay, so for me, I think into today's modern society, we're driven by technology, and a lot of that technology is within your own home, mobiles. And so having team sports like football or rugby or any type of team sport, really, it encourages children of the modern generation to understand that there's a lot more going outside of your house. There's people that you can meet. There's cultures you can see, especially if you're fortunate enough to go to major tournaments of, like we're talking about right now, the World Cup is in a country that we wouldn't ordinarily associate with a major tournament. Yes, there's been lots of questions about it, but I think there's amazing opportunities to be gained from change, change in the way we perceive things, how people look at you as a person or a group of people. It's about making sure that whatever we do inspires the next set of people to do the same, and if not, build on what we've done or they've done or everyone does. You know, I've always been, when I was coaching many years ago, the most important thing for me wasn't about who I saw was the best player. It was about whether I felt that that person would integrate within the team. And there's been a few times where I've said, you're very good at scoring, you're very good at dribbling the ball, but what you're not good at is passing to a person who's in a better position. And that goes throughout any type of it doesn't have to be sport. It could be where you work. It's the way you work as a team. My team at work, if we don't work together, we don't get results. So that's how I've always perceived any type of group setting. It doesn't have to be sport related. I know we're talking about football in general, but it's an ethic. It's a way of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sports that need teamwork to be able to win something else.
Yeah, you definitely were a good coach.
The thing is, you don't realize how big like the backroom staff are within like a football or rugby or tennis or any sport. They're massive. You know, these players won't be playing for England if they didn't have the physios or the dietitians or the doctors, and it's a team effort. And if that doctor doesn't do his job, then that team can't play properly. And if the dietitian doesn't do his job properly, it doesn't work. You know, exactly. we talk about some of the greatest players in the world, like Ronaldo and Messi. But like last year, Messi had a really quiet season compared to what we expect. This season, was he 34, 35? Mm-hmm. He looks like a 19-year-old. He's an incredible player. Like, you know, it took him 12 months to settle into PSG. Mm-hmm. You know, and he is where he is because of the drive from his family and the drive from Barcelona, because they've seen the potential. And you know, my two youngest kids who play, they want to be a Messi. Well, my youngest wants to be a Pickford because he plays in goal. And I keep telling him, don't play in goal. You have to be a bit crazy. But, you know, my 11-year-old is an exceptional player for his age. He wants to be the next Messi. But I've told him he needs to be the next Leighton because that's his name and he has to be his own player. And, you know, I live in a really big catchment area for schools, and I very carefully have to pick players that join my team. And Phil hit the nail on the head. They have to be part of that team. If they mess around in training, that's going to happen the week after, and the week after in a game, and players won't pass to him then because he's being an idiot. Or it's really important you get that dimension right. I've had most of my team I've had since they've been under 7, so 6 years old, 7 years old. They're at high school now. And yeah, it's a big cog. There's lots of little cogs that make that big cog work. Yep. You know, we've mentioned before, Larry, last week, like Chinese Premier League. They invested billions and billions of pounds into that. They spent that much. Sky Sports even shown it on Sky every week. They had a Chinese league on because Fellaini had gone there or Hulk had gone there. And, you know, players were getting drawn to China and they were getting publicised.
That's true. That's exactly true. Yeah.
Like, can we talk a little bit more about for kids? Like, Karl, like you're a coach and your kids are playing in the community football team, right? Can you tell us more about how your kids perform? And I think they definitely learn a lot of stuff there, like apart from teamwork.
Yeah, it's so my team I coach, my 11-year-old plays for me, and it is really, really difficult to actually coach your own child. It's so difficult. We have arguments weekly, only because I'm his dad and he's my son, and I expect him to behave a little bit better. But like my 9-year-old plays, and I love going over and watching and being part of the touchline with parents. You know, So my 9-year-old, when he was about 2, he was struggling to talk. His speech was quite slow. It was quite undeveloped. He joined a year ago. His speech has got so much better in the last couple of years. And he wasn't nervous. He was so confident going into that team and not knowing anyone. He went, he's best friends with them all now. And that's the important thing to me, is that he's enjoying it. If he wasn't enjoying it, it's a horrible game.
Yeah.
And it's getting that balance right. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure from parents these days as well in the UK.
Yeah.
Because they want they want their kids to be the next Rooney or the next, I don't know, it could be the next Messi or Ronaldo. It's big money.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate. I live near Liverpool, so I get to see a lot of grassroots football over there. And it's a city with football is really different to where I live in a town, because there was a lot more pressure from parents on the kids. It's difficult. Like Phil knows, he's part of the grassroots team, and there's been loads of issues in the last couple of months with referees getting attacked by parents.
Yeah.
It's uncalled for. These are young boys and girls that are reffing games for their sons and daughters to play football. It's difficult, but the problem is when they see it on TV, they copy it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Eric Cantona doing a kung fu kick at Selhurst Park in the 90s. If I did that in football, I don't think I'd ever play again.
Yeah.
So do you feel the same?
I do, yeah. How I view it is, I think there's a lot of pressure financially on parents at the moment, or everyone in general, especially in the UK. So, and also parents tend to be less around their children. So the children are seeking something somewhere. So they're seeking their teams, their friends, somewhere where they can maybe go and take some of their frustrations out, or take their self away from an environment that might not necessarily be what we would expect as a family unit. Some people don't come from great families, and football or any type of sport is probably their escape.
Yes.
And if you've got 11 people on the pitch, or 10 people plus yourself on a football pitch, they are your family at that time. You depend on each other. You look after each other, you're there for each other. And I think a lot of what Karl was saying is right, is that the pressures of parents, the way they may come across in games, especially at grassroots level, is desperacy of their parents wanting them. That's dangerous for the way the grassroots has been, the foundations have been set. That type of behaviour from parents might damage that. It's very fine line between positivity and negativity, and it's like, I unfortunately for me, my 2 children, they're a lot older now. So my oldest son is 23 and my daughter's 19 next month. So, and neither of them love sport. So I've not had that issue of watching them play. So but I've seen it myself coaching teams. I've seen how it can come across. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Every the game have somehow there have some difficulties with the game itself, or with the pressure from the parents, or other effects. Bad effects. But within the game, especially in football game or from other grand games, like requires teamwork, and each of the child, he or herself, would have to learn something about team. That's one thing. And this is something that is really hard to pick up in other environments, like in a classroom. Probably you just focus on what you need to study. You have to behave yourself. You have to be better. But that is not purely about team. Or even though you have some group assignments, by the teacher, but you still are completing your own parts, or you have some little cross with teamwork, but still the team spirit is really easy to pick up in sports, in games, in team sports.
Yeah, and by the way, it's always good to do some physical exercise, instead of just sitting in the classroom all day,
Yeah, talking about. So I think football is really easy for children, a child to understand, like really young, even his really young age to understand what is teamwork.
I think you're right, but
Yeah.
so I don't play football anymore because of my back, but I've still got friends that I played football with when I moved back to the UK when I was 18 years old, and they still play with the same people, and that we've become friends from playing football, and it's become more where they've come to my wedding, I've gone to their wedding. It's more than just a game of football. It's actually, when you're a dad or a parent, it's getting out of the house for an hour and a half to go and play with your friends. A game of football. It's incredible how 90 minutes can change your mood from being quite down or depressed or low to up here, because you've got to run around for an hour and a half. You've got to see your friends. You've got to play an amazing game.
Yeah.
And Japan have just scored.
Have they?
Yeah.
And I really agree with Carl is that me myself, I really into sports. Any kind of sport I would like to have something to do with that, like ping pong, like football, basketball, like even UFC here. And I really have met a bunch of really, really good people during the game. You don't know each other when you put into the pitch, and after like few hours of playing, yeah, you have some connections with each other. If I give you a pass or you give me a pass, we know how to do the teamwork, because this is football. We know how to play it, and we have find each other the same point from each other, and we can be good friends. And that is true. A few of my really best friends coming from the sports. Yeah, I think I got the point.
So you lived in Australia, didn't you, Larry?
Yeah, I was.
So when I was growing up, I used to love Aussie rules football.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
Yeah.
And because I live north in the UK, or North England, rugby league's massive around here as well. We've got St Helens, we've got Wigan, we've got Widnes, we've got Salford, we've got, it's a big rugby league catchment here. Where Phil lives down south, it's more rugby union.
Yeah.
And again, it's all sport. I've got friends who got their kids to play rugby. I got friends that play golf every weekend. I used to play golf. Spent 5 hours on a golf course. I was rubbish at it. I got to spend 5 hours with some of my best friends. And that's what it's about. It's about building those relationships and building them bonds and making amazing memories.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like for me, I've got a friend at work that I've known for many years. But it was only recently that we were having a discussion that I found out that his daughter was the one that scored the winning goal for the England's women team at the Euros. And I was like, you did not tell me that she played for England. He said, well, I've never had to feel the need to tell you. And I was like, I would have loved to have known that. So yeah, it just goes to show people are proud.
Yeah. So around where I live, because obviously there's a lot of Premier League teams here. There's a lot of Premier League footballers that live, within 10 miles of where I live. So my sons have grown up seeing these players walking down the street, going to get coffee or going shopping. I have considered running a few of the Liverpool players over when I've seen them, but I thought going to prison wouldn't be worth it. But like Phil would be a fan of Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard lives 2 minutes from my mum's house, and he's seen every day when he's at home.
Nice.
Duncan Ferguson used to live across the road from my mum, and he was a hero of mine. And you grow up idolizing these people, and then when you get a bit older, you realise they're just normal people that are just really good at football, but they're just normal people, and they don't say no to kids coming up and talking to them because they want all the information. They want to know how to get from just playing grassroots football to being a Premier League superstar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's,
And
and
you,
but yeah, women's football is massive in this country at the moment, and fully deserved.
Yeah, the women's football team. I think it's definitely like it's a very interesting point actually. Like speaking of like women's football, actually, I think Chinese women's football team is playing like brilliant too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Super
Chinese
brilliant.
girls, they're good.
Are they better than the male team?
Yeah, definitely.
That's good.
And we can,
Yeah. Like speaking of like playing football as a hobby, actually like we can find lots of friends like because we shared hobbies, like so finally we'll be talking about 3D printing.
yeah, we go. Like
Yeah,
a
I
lot
think,
of the
yeah.
viewers right now saying
Yeah,
that
any comments about
this is about the 3D printing or
the
soccer.
relations between like
But you can really drive the Britain mad when you say soccer because you don't call football like soccer.
yeah, soccer for
Yeah.
America.
But yeah, we will come back to the topic of 3D printing. It's just because we are in the vibe of World Cup and we want to hear of what our users are really thinking about the football, because we don't have to be stick around with 3D printing all day. Like even Jared, he is a football star, but he still have to live his own life. He has to have some other pickups or hobbies like drinking a coffee or somewhere. Like we are doing the 3D printing, but we also can talk about something about the football. Yeah, that's
Because we can't only have one hobby, we have several hobbies. And for those who
you're
share
just normal people. You're just good at doing the 3D printing, or you're just good at playing football, but you are still a person. You
I think football and 3D printing are very similar. Only because growing up playing football in Germany, I couldn't speak German. I still played football. The amount of questions or messages that I can get in a group, in the Coralities group, they can put it in any language they want and it's translated for me. But they know what retraction means, they know what speed means, they know what infill means. It's the same language.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I don't have to be able to speak Chinese to communicate with you guys. You speak really good English. Like some of the German users that I talk to on a regular basis, their English is good, but they can send me a message in German and it translates for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, I'm really glad you have brought up 3D printing, and I am surprised you have already found something, similar between 3D printing and football. But I would like to ask you one thing. So, do you see 3D printing has any connections to teamwork?
Yeah, it does. So with my channel that I've only been running my channel now for 7 months, and I've got about 1.2 thousand followers now in a very short period of time. But to be able to get to that point was really just to spend time with people like Karl in his group, which is called Under the Hot End, and that's on Facebook. And you've got Martin, Matt, and Alan in that group. And what that group has shown me is the questions that I get, we share, we talk about how we can approach it, and we deliver that message back to that person. And I'm a firm believer, and on my channel, I don't just do reviews, but I go through the bigger picture. So, for instance, if somebody's having trouble, they'll send me a Facebook message, and I won't just reply with you do this, you do that. I actually create a video about it. If it deserves a video, and then I'll put that video onto my channel and share that in the group so that people
Again.
Oh, have they? That's great. That's good. Who's that against? Germany?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Phil's hit the nail on the head there. So I originally had the CR10 Smart when it came out, I think about 18 months ago. And it was problematic for some people. And the amount of people, I put videos on YouTube, people have messaged and I've reached out to them and helped them sort the bed out or be able to get a print done. I've been really fortunate that I've got to meet Phil through the Facebook group that I help run. But I've got to meet, like, Sam's in chat. I've got to see some of Sam Prentice's stuff that he does on his channel. I'm also now part of Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. I've joined their team, and I think they're over 10k subscribers now. So I've joined them because of my love for 3D printing, and I haven't just made people, by their face. I've made really good friends in this community, which as you get older, you realize, life isn't 150 years. It's quite short,
Yeah.
And you've
Short
got to
is
make.
that. Yeah, I have been heard you both of you have talking about the things that you have to go with other people. You love about sharing. You love about doing the same thing with a different group of guys, even they don't speak the same language. But my another tricky question is that football, we have the very high moment is highlight is all about the goal moment when it's a goal. Everybody would know, like excited and yeah, be high about that. But where if what is a metaphor of the goal moment? So where is a goal moment in your 3D printing experiences? Is that let me guess? Is that something that you have tried and finally successfully have print some model successfully, like perfect? Is that you, or is there other goal moment?
Do you know what my achievement is? Is teaching my children how to use a 3D printer.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
The fact that I still have to, obviously it's hot, it's quite dangerous, so don't just let your kids use it. But I've actually spent time with my two youngest and helped them learn how to do printing. They don't do resin printing, they just do FDM. But I'm teaching them, and I get to spend quality time with them doing that.
Yeah.
That to me is much more important than having people get happy having an amazing first layer on the prints, and people get happy that the print quality is amazing. It took 2 hours to do it. I'm enjoying this community because of people like Phil, Martin, and Sam, and James, and all the people in the community. I get to spend with my boys is more important than all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's the perk. Like the real Sam Prentice has said in a lot of his videos, he can't wait till his son's a bit older and he can start doing projects with them. I love when my kids come home and go, can we make this for my teacher? We're talking about ancient Greece. We go online, we find something, we print it.
Yeah.
I love being able to do that with them. And we don't sit there and watch the print for 26 hours, but I know that I've spent quality time with my kids instead of just throwing an iPad at them and going, go watch YouTube.
And that is pretty much how it is for nowadays, is that parents don't have time, and it's so stressful environment. And the way to keep your children quiet is to put maybe a phone or a tablet in front of them. But we can do something different and inspire people to put them towards 3D printing. Then that's what the goal is, really, to share that technology, because it's just as fun. To actually use the computer that we're trying to encourage them to use, but to create a file, talk to people about how to do it, and then make it, print it, share it.
It's very much like I coach a football team, and do you know what? It's amazing, but I'm more thankful that these boys that I have in my team let me be part of that. I get to see them grow. I get to see them mature and become grown men. I can remember my 11-year-old putting his kit on for the first time when he was 6 in his first game. It's quite an emotional thing, because I went through it with my dad and my mum. Them two followed me all over Germany watching and playing. And it's a big commitment, but it's little memories that you make last forever.
Right. Yeah. That is definitely back to the perfect first layer or the perfect first model from the 3D printing, because Karl just bring this into another level. I think that's really a good point. So the goal moments for 3D printing is also about to transfer the knowledge, or to teach your children to pick up the same hobby. And is it what you are doing for? Is this more important than having some physical success in the 3D printer?
So at the moment, because obviously my kids are at school, they finish in like 10, 15 minutes. When they get home, they will put FIFA on in a bit, and my 9-year-old and 11-year-old will play the teams that are playing at 4 o'clock, and they will play the game beforehand and then watch the game afterwards.
That's good.
And then just before the 7 o'clock kickoff tonight, they go on FIFA again. They play whoever's playing. I get to sit there and just watch them enjoy it. I get to be part of the, their first real World Cup that they remember.
Really good. So, you feel the same? The goal moments in 3D printing for you is the same, or you have some other?
For me, yeah, my goal moments. See, like I said earlier, my children are not really sport related, but my goal moments for 3D printing are when someone messages me back and says, well, I've had quite a few people saying, thank you so much. I was going to send my 3D printer back because I couldn't do what I spent weeks trying to fix an issue, and you've helped. Just a simple fix. And it's like some people can't afford to buy a 3D printer. We take it for granted. Some people that can afford it or have access to those quite easily. But some people, it could be they've saved for years for that moment to have that moment to be able to enjoy it. And that's why the community is really great, especially Facebook, YouTube. I started getting interested in 3D printing 3 or 4 years ago. I had lots of other interests before then, and then because it became more a home hobby that I needed to find, my wife actually wanted me to get a hobby so that she can
stop pestering her.
That was the real reason. But she wanted me to find something, so I looked around and I thought, I love technology, I love research, I love development, because that's my job. But 3D printing, sharing it with people, seeing what people can do, finding out that. So for me, it's not really a goal or a win. It's more of an ongoing thing.
Yeah, I think you're right though, Phil, because that if 10 people have messaged you and at least one of them does exactly what you've done, they've passed on their knowledge. And it's the same as football. I'm teaching the next generation to play. If one player out of my 16 players becomes a coach, I've done my bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Frankie, do you have some other questions for guests?
Yes, like we mainly talk about we do have a huge online 3D printing communities, like many communities actually. Like, do you have like local offline communities, like where you live?
Funny enough, I actually went. So Screwfix is a wholesaler for parts, for radiators and taps and all that. So it's on an industrial park, and I went there a couple of weeks ago and actually found a 3D printing shop, and he just sells cookie cutters. Went in and spoke to him. I didn't even know it existed in Southport. It's quite a small town, but the schools around here now are starting to get printers in.
Yeah,
they're starting to be a little bit more common practice. We're so far behind with like America for that science and technology side of things, because robots are replacing people at work, unfortunately. But being able to work with a printer is going to become quite common, I think.
Yeah, so I would love to see. I don't. This is something that I wanted to see more in the UK. I want to be, because I see a lot from the American market, that a lot of their deals they buy, their printers they buy, their spare parts, they've actually physically gone to a shop to buy it. And I'd love that. I'd love that opportunity in the UK to be able to disappear from my home and work environment and spend days, if not hours and days in a 3D printing store and just stare at everything, play with everything, look at everything, buy everything probably.
My wife can go buy a loaf of bread and spend 2 hours walking around the shop. I'd love that for a 3D printer shop. I'd love it. I'd be just chatting to like-minded people. Yeah.
Make friends.
Yeah, like speaking of like people around you and like who support you, like so like who do you want to thank during your like 3D printing journey?
Oh, Jesus.
Could be a lot.
Could be a lot. You can name a few.
I'll go first. Carl's probably got
a
a lot more than me. So I actually wanted to say it earlier. I'm not sure if Sam's in the chat. Sam, the real Sam Prentice, you guys know him. I've seen a lot of your live streams. His content is absolutely fantastic. I started watching Sam. I've watched people like 3D Printing Nerd and all the top YouTubers for 3D printing. And I classify Sam right up there with them, if not above them. And there's reasons. It's not about how many followers you've got, but it's the content that you bring, the way you deliver the message. And with Sam's, he's great with the video representation of how he presents his videos. I think I always get that little buzz at the beginning. And me and Karl have talked about this, how his opening scenes and his ending scenes are absolutely fantastic. And so, but on a personal note with Sam, we live quite close together, and I watched one of his live streams, and he's very interactive with his viewers, which is always amazing. And he actually reached out to me, and we discussed how we didn't realize how close together we were. And he's actually given me things to review, which he's given me that opportunity to grow my channel. So I've obviously, on a personal note to Sam, I don't know whether he's still watching, but he already knows how much I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
And second, I wanted to thank, I've already said earlier, but Under the Hot End, which once again came under a conversation through Instagram, and it was just, oh, how are you? Yeah, not too bad. Oh, I love your content. And it was a conversation that grew to us now spending more time chatting and having fun and talking about future stuff that's coming up. And that's obviously Karl, Martin, and Matt and Alan, as I said earlier. And they're people that have inspired me to continue to grow my channel. And it's just onwards and keep going, really. And look at what other things are coming up, and the technology's growing so fast that we as like reviewers and tech experts, we can't keep up with it all. But we grow with it, and that's the team side of it. That's where the team pops in and says, you know, I don't know much about designing, but we've got a person who does. We don't know much about tech, but a person does. I'm more around the fixing and the reviewing and the unboxing and showing to people and trying to get people to buy your products. And that's what my channel is more about. But everybody in the group has a key. Not everyone knows everything. That's how I've always been.
But somebody must know something. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, you have to know something to grow a big team, and that's why people like Under the Hot End group Facebook, if anyone hasn't seen it, check it out and get involved, because it's made my sometimes I come home from work and I think, oh, I'm so tired, but then I get straight onto the Facebook chats and technology and sharing and pictures and, you know, what people have printed over the night, and I just think, oh, that's awesome. And yeah, it's inspiring, and I'd hope to think that other people would feel the same way and share it, you know, because ultimately when we share, it inspires more, you know?
Yeah, it's just like what you're doing right now. You have built up your own YouTube channel, and it has some, you know, effects to people who would like to, you know, learn something, and you really give out your own styles, your own you know, tips to the people who started into this area, and probably the people who watched your video would like to you, because you have been invited to give that to them. So it's like still a part of it. So if you're talking about this, you have a lot of people to thank for. Yeah.
That was my personal
And Karl, how about you?
I very much like Phil, actually. When I first started, it was more the American market for people like Modbot. I've got a lot of time for Modbot Daniel, Akuma Mods, or Matt Farmer. There's a 3D Nerd, there's Edutech, you know, the usual channels. But in the last 18 months, I've seen a growth within the UK market on YouTube. So like Phil's mentioned, The Real Sam Prentice, love his channel, love his content. It's out there, it's wild, it's death races, and it's just nice. And off camera, he's great. You know, he's dead friendly. He just doesn't ignore you. Again, Martin, Alan, Phil, Matt under the hot end. It's been good watching that grow. But I've got more friends out of doing printing than I have playing football. I know we're talking about football, but James and Mike at Honey Badger 3D, they've given me kind of a bit of a purpose of doing something in this community. I use TikTok a lot, which I think is getting bigger and bigger for the printing community. It's fun. It's different. It's YouTube shorts are popular now, so you know everyone's kind of wanting these little videos. But I've made so many good friends in Canada, America, India, Australia. I've spoken to people in Argentina. It's wild.
Yeah,
and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I thought you guys would mention to thank you about reality.
Oh no, yeah, reality as well.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I was just kidding. Yeah, so yeah, just can go on, Frank.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of people you want to thank too. I think there's like great. I think like India, right? I think like there are lots of tech nerds in India actually.
Yeah,
India has a lot of good designers that people don't know.
Right, they're actually really good. The tech, the IT guys.
Like I think like just in case if there are football fans too, I think you can create a club called like 3D printing and football fans club. Anything
that would be like in India's they play cricket.
Okay.
Cricket.
Yes, cricket. Yes.
Cricket. Yeah. But he can. But I think Carl's running a community. I think he's already busy now. Heaps of people are looking for him to work out clubs. Yeah. And he got children to coach. Yeah, we can go ahead.
Yeah, so I know like Phil has been like 3D printing for 4 to 5 years, right? So what about Karl? Like, how long have you been in 3D printing?
Oh God, 3 years. I kind of got into it because I was maybe a little bit longer. When I was a little bit more mobile, I was drones. I used to love drones like FPV and camera drones. Yeah, DJI. And because I kept breaking them, I needed to keep ordering parts from people to make. And I thought, why am I paying someone stupid money when I can just do it myself? And that's when it started. I got an Ender 3, and it's gone on from there. I've given away more than I've got because, like Crowley, I've been with Mandy at Crowley. She's been really helpful. She sent me printers to support the community with, or test, or see if I can break it. Just the normal things that people want to do. I give printers away to people and got them into the community.
Yeah.
And it's those little things like Phil said. Sam's got his channel keeps growing, and he gets sent loads of printers from all different brands to review. He's given them to Phil, says you've got 2 weeks with them, get your video out, I'm going to swap them over and give you something else. And sometimes you need that kick up the backside to do it.
Yeah.
Phil's channel from when I first met him to 1,100.
Yeah.
It's been really quick.
Yeah.
I've got my own channel. I got bored of doing it because I was more active on Facebook. But yeah, what I like about it is like Crowley, like you can send a printer out to anybody, and they will create some sort of content for it, and then that content will be passed on to everyone else, and everyone will be like, oh, I want that one next, or I want that. Like your Sonic pad, like had a massive impact in the community because other people bringing out Clipper as standard on their printers. You brought the Sonic pad out. There has been teething issues. Everything has teething issues, and the more stuff I see on like the Creality websites and stuff, it's all Sonic pad, and everyone's like, my print is quicker. The most annoying thing about printing is waiting.
Yeah, time is money.
Yeah, because unfortunately with everything is expensive in the UK at the moment. So just turning on the lights is expensive. But like, if you can print something in 10 hours instead of 24, my wife's happy.
Yeah, it's like with things like with this Sonic Pad, it brings back the technology. So you might have your favorite printer, and you don't want to have to go out and buy a brand new printer that's 3 times, 4 times faster than the one you love. And so by having the Creality Sonic Pad, you can then connect it to your favorite printer and make it 3 or 4 times faster, and still love your printer, and then still want to buy the faster one anyway. But
Sam did it with his Ender 3, didn't he?
yeah,
On his Sonic Pad, he hadn't used it for a couple of years. It was just sat there, he plugged it in, and he did a bench, in 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah. And the quality was amazing.
We're looking forward to your reviews about Sonic Pad.
Thanks for the advertising.
Just let me know when you finish your review. I would like to have a look at that. But yeah, so
I have one more question. Like, compare your life, like before you've been introduced to 3D printing, and your life, and the life you're living now, like you're a 3D printing fan. So, what do you think is the most important or most obvious change in your life, like before and afterwards?
Go on, Phil. You can go over this one first.
So, sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Like compared to the life like before you were introduced to 3D printing.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Are the changes? Like
before and after.
Yeah. Before and
People
after.
ask for more things now.
Yes. Yeah. So it's hard to answer really, because the changes that I've seen, since I joined 3D printing, is that what you mean? Is that?
It's like it's when before you pick up the 3D printing technology,
Oh, okay.
get into the world of 3D printing.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, apparently.
Shall I go for this one, Phil, first?
You are a YouTuber of doing it, so what's the difference? Apparently, you can say something like financial differences, like 3D printing has brought you some kind of extra money.
So for me, so for me, where I work, I'm a filling expert on a filling machine, so I've always enjoyed working with machinery and products and stuff like that, and creating new things. Obviously, some things I can't talk about because it's under research and development, but it's the same principle as 3D printing. So I've always had an interest in fixing things, making things, and creating things. So when I was asked to look for a hobby, that was my direction anyway. And 3D print was like the perfect fit into, if I'm not being paid at work for it, what can I do at home? So I use 3D printing for several reasons. One, because I enjoy it. 2, I like to share what I've made, and sometimes make money from it. It really depends. I'm a Patreon of a number of different designers, and obviously I pay for the privilege to be able to sell that. I review filaments for people, so I use that to be able to sell the product. And lots of people, filaments and stuff. Like that. Yeah. So we review it all between us, and I share it on my channel on TikTok and things like that. So it's just because you got to remember, when people purchase things from eBay or Amazon or from websites, you don't always see what people have delivered, what the end product is. So that's what people buy now. They don't just buy what they see on a website. They want to see the physical endpoint. So by all of the community sharing what they've done on certain printers, on Creality printers, Creality filaments, and they're able to see the end product from somebody who has also bought it. So that's how I've got involved in it, and I loved the way the community looked on the internet, and that's how I got involved. Yeah.
How?
So last Christmas, I actually put a post on my own Facebook, and I started selling Christmas baubles, with an LED light in a lithophane. And it was pretty popular within a group that I'm part of. And it was people who've lost their parents, during COVID and stuff like that. And they were asking me to put their pictures of their family on the baubles as a keepsake. I think that's probably my biggest one. you know, since I've been printing, I've lost a grandparent. So being able to make a lithophane of them to give to my parents is you know, it's been quite important for me. You know, just little things like that where people are like, it's amazing, thank you very much. You know, you've made Christmas a little bit happier because he's on my tree. You know, or I was able to give it as a gift to my sister because she lost her husband. You know, it's the little things that mean so much more. You know, and yeah, you do have the perks like Phil says, reviewing printers, reviewing filament and resin and everything that goes with it. But you know, it's the little things like that mean so much more because it knows I've had an impact on someone who doesn't print.
Yeah,
they've got no idea what a printer is, but they know that I can print them and give it a picture of their loved ones. It's so important.
Valuable.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the joy you can bring to others.
Yeah,
really comfort. Yeah,
people grieve differently. Everyone grieves differently, and you know, it's very hard to grieve when you've lost your grandparents. You know, it's quite difficult, but being able to put a picture on a Christmas tree and give them to family has been really important for me.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So another question, we've been talking about a lot about football and relation between the similarity of how football and 3D printing inspire people in a similar way. Can you guys conclude probably in one or two sentences how do you think football and 3D printing inspire people in a similar way?
Yeah. So 3D printing, and we've talked about it quite a bit actually. So 3D printing is a solo sport when you're on your own printing. No one either wants to touch your printer, or it's your printer and you don't want them to touch it. But ultimately, to be able to get the best print, the best outcome from your printer, you have to share with the community. You have to talk to your printer in the community. So it's very much like a team sport, football. The goal is to get the best print and the best quality from your printer. How am I going to get there? Well, I have to ask questions of the community, of your friends, the groups that you're in. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And the community's there for you. And that's much like football. We all want that goal. We all want that win. But how are you going to get there? Well, you're going to have to work together. But ultimately, the person who scores the goal, yes, he's the one that gets to celebrate and his name's on the score sheet. But how did you get that goal? Well, because he passed to me and the goalkeeper saved that shot. And it's a bit like 3D printing. How did you get that brilliant print? That looks amazing on that printer. Well, I did it. And not everyone talks about how they got there. Actually, I asked this question of this group. I do share that. If somebody asks me a question that I can't answer, I'll point them towards Karl, Martin, Sam, anyone that I think that has the qualities to be able to answer that question. Or I point them towards, if it's Creality printer, I'll point them towards your group, your official group. That way the question can be answered. So it's very much like football and sport in general.
Yeah, I will say it's like in football game, when your teammates or some other people pass the ball on your feet, you're actually control it by your own. So it's also kind of the solo game when it's like when people give you the message, information, the tutor about the 3D printing, when you're working on your own 3D printer, you are on your own. Like the ball is now under your feet, you have to control it, or you choose to do the goal or do the passing. But actually, when the ball is under your feet, you are yourself. You can't count on some other people. You yourself have to decide to make the next move.
Yeah, and so like France yesterday with Mbappe, he created 2 or 3 goals. He was the reason. His job was to get the ball in. Even though he's a global superstar and probably one of the best forwards, his job on that day was to get the ball across, and he did it.
Yes, yes. Yes.
So yeah, like Phil said there, like within our group, so like with Sam Prentice, he taught me about bridging when I was doing a little R2D2 print. Never knew what bridging was. I've passed that on to other people now, and James from Honey Badger 3D taught me about the density of supports.
Yeah,
didn't know about that. I've passed that knowledge on now, and you're a little cog, and you're helping other people being able to make those learning,
yeah,
and put it into practice.
Yeah, it's like giving other people an assist to make them have the goal. Yeah,
There's no point.
The
Like
knowledge
Phil says, there's no point putting a print on Facebook.
Watching him to complete his own work. Yeah, the way you feel, it's pretty much like you being as an assist to some.
Yeah, like Phil said there, everyone. There's no point putting a picture of a print on a Facebook group and someone goes, "What were your settings?" and you go, "Doesn't matter." That's not sharing. That's not really the nice side of it. And I think it's really important that like there are people out there that learn a little bit slower. They take a little bit longer to understand the fundamentals of printing, and just giving them an extra 2 minutes will mean more to them than anything. You've spent time helping them get the first layer done.
And that's how I agree totally with Karl, because there's quite a lot of people that won't share their love for 3D printing, and very much individuals, even in the groups that I'm part of, I still see quite a lot of individuals, and ultimately they may have the best prints on there, but ultimately they're not inspiring the next set of people to go out and buy a 3D printer. You got to remember, not everyone in the 3D printing groups has the opportunity to own one themselves. They may well just be in there because they're really interested in something. They would possibly go out and buy something. And ultimately, people like Creality, suppliers of the 3D printers, need people to be inspired, to be able to go out. Inspiration creates sales, ultimately. And I know that from my job. If it's not a fantastic packaging, if it doesn't taste great, if it doesn't smell right, we're talking about toothpaste and mouthwash now. If it doesn't taste right and it doesn't look right, people won't buy it. So, and you want people to deliver that message, and it's same with 3D printing. If you encourage people and share, and don't give people an opportunity to feel like, oh, I don't like this community, they're not very helpful here. One person can actually damage thousands of inspirations, and that's a bit like football grassroots. You want people to be encouraged to go out and buy their first 3D printer, and we do that. I personally do that, and I know the guys that I work with over on the hot end, we encourage people to go out. If we think something needs a bit of work, we don't tell them not to buy it or to avoid it. We tell them the reasons why. We might say, be careful, this might have an issue, but don't worry, there's people in the community that will help you. Go out and buy it. Not everyone can afford an expensive printer. Buy some of the low-end printers. They all are growing techniques, and that's how I run my channel, is share learning skills. Exactly.
Yes.
Start small, grow big.
Yeah, right.
It's like 3D printing technology should be like accessible to everyone. Like you mentioned, like grassroots. Probably it can be called like grassroots hobby. Exactly. There's always a budget printer, or especially on Black Holiday sale, like you can grab one at a low price.
And it's a market that is very busy at the moment, with a lot of new printers coming in and a new lot of the way of printers, how fast they can print, and can they do this and they can do that. The technology within this market, like a resin printer. I've got a couple of resin printers. I can't believe that I've got a resin printer that prints stuff that's incredible. The detail is fantastic. I've got a Creality Harlot Plus here. It's an amazing resin printer, works brilliantly. But I've got an Ender 7. I've been doing a lot of prints on that recently. I get a really good first layer. It prints really well for me. Others haven't had success. And it's the same with, I don't know, buying a competitor's printer. They don't always work. And it's about learning and teaching and sharing and caring. And printers seem to be much more affordable,
Right. And just like Chris said, printers seem to be much more affordable and understandable today than in the past. I think it is more, um, have to give applause to you guys who is doing the transfer, to doing the sharing of the information. Because without you guys, without the amount of people is for your best to give out the information, give out the skills, or to guide other people, this market will become so like is understandable or affordable like this, because as long as there's much and more people in future are joining
Yeah.
this community, we as a supplier or pretty bad, this is also something we would like to see. So it's like it's
I think with like Reality, they've got a UK store now.
yeah.
I think that's quite important, because the turnaround from getting something from China to the UK is long, and it does incur additional charges. Now you've got a UK store; it's a lot quicker to Pearson
I'm
store.
told that by that.
Shout out to our UK store.
And also to some other areas, like is 3D printing is not only a product, like I mean 3D printer. It's not only a product, it's also a technology that is have a brighter future in future, because we can create stuff from nothing. Like we can create a 3D model rather than just a picture, right? To have some more emotions into that, injected into that model. And I myself believe that this technology will also change the whole world. And 3D printing, like 10 years or even 15 years before, is still a concept to me. I have only have some concepts about 3D printing. I just know, we have 3D, but it doesn't really I'm looking here in Crowdy and see, it's already a desktop stuff. It's something that's still supposed to be remaining in the university labs or some really geek families.
Or in
But
lab crazy science.
That was my first impression with 3D printing when I was starting to look into it. It was going to be expensive, because we have a program here called the Gadget Show, and they've covered 3D printers on there before, and they were industrial printers. They were thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
But when you do your research, you kind of understand that you can pick up an Ender 3 for £120 at the moment. You're buying a tool to be an end product. You're buying something that you can enjoy, learn, and make new friends. And I get to speak to you two in China. When I got my first printer, the technology is allowing us to do this, and that's what the printers have done as well. Has given me a voice. I'm able to talk and speak and show and care about, like Phil.
You're always welcome. And Fred, do you have a
Just by the way, it just reminded me of something like talking about 3D printing. I think probably like in the industrial grade 3D printers, there's some technology more disruptive, in more like industries. But for consumer grade, at least I think we can enjoy the hobby and do some DIY stuff. It's great. And I read an article the other day. It says like 3D printing is kind of a bridge between the physical and the digital world. I think it's kind of brilliant, because I've been following stuff about NFTs and those stuff. And sometimes one day it just occurred to me, why don't we print those NFT tokens out? Print all the stuff. And why should we? Well, like it's not necessary for us to do some like crazy NFT stuff and metaverse, all that stuff. We can print all those things out. I think that's the magic about 3D printer.
Even we were saying about industrial level in the printers, it is still currently and but we finally want in the future it will drop that stuff.
That's for sure.
It's because the technology is going up. Like the metal 3D printers, like create metal 3D model, and the details will be even more into the details, and it will be more vivid in the future.
It's the same as well. Like Creality got a laser engraver. You know,
Yeah,
before that you had attachments to put on like the Ender 3S1 Pros and Pluses. You've got an engraver. That you're talking about technology that maybe 2-3 years ago was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Now it's £300 to get the 5 watt. You know, again, I've got lasers, I've got FDM, I've got resin. There's 3 areas there that I've taught myself and took information off other people to be able to enjoy doing that stuff.
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah, the only one I think we've talked a lot more about like reprinting and football. So one last question is, so do you guys have plans to like the power or the joy of football and 3D printing to like people around you or to a wider audience, probably around the world? Yeah, what are your plans?
My plans really is just to continue my message through my channel, and maybe now, especially from this live stream, it's made my emphasis even stronger. So obviously talking to people like the suppliers and Karl and other people in the community, it's made me realize how important it is, my channel. It's not just a privilege to be able to show things and to have the opportunity to review them, but to know that the impact I might be having on somebody else, whether it be a youngster joining into the technology or someone who's a lot older who needs something. You've got to remember that we're not just focusing on youngsters, we're talking about people that might have retired from work. They don't know what to do anymore. They might have lost a loved one, that they're on their own now. I've got this money, I don't know what to do with it. I don't have a loved one to share with. I might 3D print now. And there's lots of things that people can do. They can go for walks, they can have a cup of coffee, they can go to rescue places that you go and share. But yeah, 3D print. With my channel, I'm going to make sure that my message now will be to inspire other people to go out and share with the community, to go out and take the risk, to enjoy the 3D printing, go out and buy the resin printing and stuff like that. So that's what I've learned from this live stream, but also the way I work anyway is to share. I'm always happy to describe things to people. I've always got time for people, even if I'm tired. Sometimes answering messages at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so I think that's the most important thing. It's not just about someone going out and purchasing your product, but it's to inspire people to know that there's people beyond your product, friends.
Yeah.
There's friends that you can gain from buying something. There's not many products out there that you can, and I'm talking to obviously anyone who's watching, it's like there's not many products out there, i.e. TVs and video recorders or mobile phones, that would give you the opportunity to share with other people. 3D printing is a technology that allows you to create something from a digital photo or file to then be able to showcase to your family, friends, people that you don't know, and the wider community. So that's why I'm privileged to be able to be involved in it. Yeah, and I enjoy it. So
yeah, you're happy about being labeled as a 3D printing guy. has this kind of label, yeah.
So because I grew up in Germany, I had people. Obviously Facebook, is quite new. Really, it's 20 years old, something like that. So a lot of people I went to school with are on my Facebook, and it's just the way it is. You'll get your own lives, you get married, have kids, get jobs, all that. One of my friends that I grew up with, when I left Germany, I was 17. I hadn't spoke very much because Facebook didn't really exist then. He's a teacher now in the south of England, and he messaged me a couple of months ago about printers because he does printers in school. And again, he messaged me 2 weeks ago asking for some help with a resin printer. So, that was someone I grew up with. We were friends, and now we have the connection with printers again. I've got a lot of people that I used to play Xbox with when I was single and had no kids and had a lot more hair on my head. They also 3D print now. So I've got more connections with more people that I knew of. It's
Wow, it's good to change people in a better way, and
solve their problem. It's kind of fulfilling to teach people and spread the knowledge.
Right. So we are having this fun because we have been take up your time to give this live stream, and most importantly, it's not only about this live stream to give the other users some kind of the inspire like the sparks in their head to think about the question: what does 3D printing gives you, and what have the 3D printers been teach you, or what lessons changing your life, because people probably they don't really think about this level. They probably just thinking about 3D printing yourself, but actually you can find out it is actually connects to a lot of things, to football, to your families, to the people around you, to somebody that you don't even know is like sharing some information to each other, and to give opportunities to talk to people from all around the world because of the 3D printing technology. And the most important thing is that Frankie is going to write an article based on your feedback during this live stream, and we will make it into the website, into the media website, and I think she will finish the article really soon.
Yeah, I'll send you to take a look.
Yeah, send you guys to look, and I really appreciate you guys have bring really positive things in the 3D printing, and I think that will help a lot of people because we are doing the branding stuff. We are a supplier in 3D printing. This is what we should do. Like you guys do, like Phil, you did in your YouTube channel, and Karl, you did with your community, physical community. But we can, to help you guys just voices to spread to more people that can be affected.
But it was nice to be invited. But what it's also nice is to see Creator having more UK content makers on. We're following Sam now, which he's a big content maker in the UK, and to be able to come on with Reality is great. So thank you for letting me and Phil come on.
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah, we also would like to thank you guys to have give us
help us make better products.
Yeah, especially
and even complaints that help us to make better products. Yeah,
it's also this kind of feedback made us have some improvements with ourselves, like the products, and to feedback to the users, and that's how we improve the 3D printing technology forward and forward. And you guys can take up your time with. You are supposed to sit in the couch and watching the game, but turn out you.
Almost like one.
Yeah, I saw the game. Can you believe that?
I know, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Sam was a pretty piece out of the result because he is one of the backer of the Germany. But did you ever thought Germany would lose to Japan?
I actually still believe Germany could win it. But Belgium, we've had this conversation. Belgium are my absolute favourites.
Belgium. Let's see how Belgium's doing
if anyone puts money on Belgium and they lose, don't blame me.
Yeah, because this World Cup is gonna be interesting because we have seen a lot of the teams that's supposed to win. Like a lot of fans are putting their attentions and expectations on the team, but turns out that the result is pretty jaw-dropping. Like Argentina and the Germany today, and we'll see Belgium.
Eagle eye? I don't know.
But England, as people, they have shown some surprise in the final, not the surprise in the downside.
Let's see what happens on Friday.
Yeah, let's see what's happening on Friday. Let's keep in touch, and I think that's pretty much everything. And later, Frankie we will talk things out, and I would also like to know that Carl or I feel like if you have some printers would like to review, just let me know directly, and I'll see what I can do. And really appreciate you would share things to the community or the people in your channel to pass on if, uh, the tech, the tips or skills of 3D printing. And this is what we need, because without you guys, we are not that powerful to make our products. You know, yeah. So the basic logic is right there. So thank you, really thank you guys. And so yeah, just let me know if you need anything from Harvey. We can, definitely work on that. Yeah, I can
Thank
do
you,
that.
Larry, and thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Get home very
have a
late
good
there.
Yeah, have a good one. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, take
Bye,
care,
everyone.
everyone. Thank
Yeah,
you.
bye bye bye. Yeah, you can just discount Atkins. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Right. So guys, I don't know how many people are still here, but we are having talking the whole night about the
It's a fruitful conversation.
freestyle conversation. We don't like to our channel, our live stream all the time about 3D printing, 3D printers, or the promotion that we have to push you guys into a situation like to buy stuff, things stuff. But we would like to digger some information, some knowledge, like really hidden before, like no people or some other brands would ever brought up before, because we would like to find out what's behind 3D printing, other than 3D
Everything behind and beyond.
yeah, behind and beyond.
Yeah.
It's like today we are talking some football.
Yeah.
Relates to 3D printing. I didn't expect that we have find so many similarities.
Yes.
I thought there won't be any similarities between 3D printing and football, because there looks like two different worlds. But with Carl, with Phil, they have brought up their ideas. They have shared their views about the similarities between 3D printing and football. It's more about the teamwork. Yeah, the teamwork.
And especially the impact on the younger generation,
Yeah, impact on the younger generation. That's more important, because the technology, if you wanted to move forward, 3D printing is definitely one of the technology. Yeah, if the one kind of the technology would wanted to move forward, is more about youngsters, the next generation. If the next generation don't, they don't give any, interest on this technology, it will sooner or later the technology will be dead.
But we have every confidence that 3D printing industry is kind of very promising, because we have lots of children interested in 3D printing, and also it's widely applied in universities and STEM education and everything. So yeah,
people can learn stuff. People can making friends in the real world, because of 3D printing. So thank you, and Sebastian. Really thanks for all your company, and Chris and Bradley, all of you guys. And we will try to make these kind of contents more in our live stream, instead of only delivering some new product and new 3D printers, or the promotion that we have. And those are also important. I know you guys kind of expecting that, but during the gaps between the promotions and new 3D printer launch, we would like to bring some new thinkings, and we are definitely going to write an article about us, and that will be content on
okay,
Frankie.
my job.
Yes. And guys, it's pretty much everything. And yeah, Bradley, it's been like a radio product. It's been nice. Yes, radio product podcast. But
probably we can create a podcast later.
but my English is not that good.
I don't know.
We can't do that, because we are only, on that level.
Yeah, that's true. And also another prerequisite for a podcast is like the recording condition need to be very well. Otherwise, it will be annoying.
Yeah.
There can't be any noise in the podcast. Otherwise, it kind of be interrupting, annoying.
Yeah.
because
and-
you will hear those current or electronic sound.
Yeah, if we had the opportunity, we really would like to
Yeah, that
invite
could be a way.
each different users to give us their thoughts about 3D printing. Like Chris, Bradley, everyone can have their own thoughts about that because everyone
Yeah.
have their own story,
Yeah.
how they pick up 3D printing, what 3D printing has been given to them, and what special experience when they using these 3D printers, and what they think of the future of the 3D printer.
Yeah, it can be
Yeah.
a series of like our user stories.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
user
each session
stories.
will be a live story about a 3D printing lover, and we
Yeah.
can share the stories on YouTube, on video, and probably podcast, and also my job to write an article.
Right, it's
Yeah.
important for a brand, a 3D printer brand, to do this because you can't count on some users to do this because the power they got is limited. But as a 3D printer brand, we are actually in this area, and this is something that we actually should do. Like what you said, I really like this idea, like user story about this 3D printing. And yeah, maybe probably in the future we can have more of these kind of live stream or like radio podcasts coming soon. And yeah, just tell us your story and share it with more people. And we really would like to encourage or inspire other people or the 3D printing beginners or people who don't even know about 3D printer can pick up this hobby as a hobby first, and then really put their emotion or put their effort onto it, and then find something unexpected during this printing.
Yeah.
So Mr. O says the next game starting in 20 minutes, so I have to go. Kind of, yeah, but I'm really happy to see you here, Mr. O. And next time, probably you can also tell us something about yourself with this one, because Mr. O is also one of the really
Where are you based, Mr. L?
the US, the United States,
US,
and
okay.
now it's probably he's working at the moment.
Okay.
He's a guy in the college.
Yeah.
In the college. So.
I can speak a little Cantonese.
Right.
Yeah.
With the creative app or the Chit, can we have a search bar for looking up models? I really want to ask. Oh yeah, you mean the Creality application, the Creality Cloud application? Search bar. They do have search bar for you to search different models or the keywords of the model that you would like to download.
But we can follow up with
Yeah, but that was another department, and I can.
But they were sitting next to them, so.
Yeah, but they do have the search bar on top of that.
Yeah, maybe we need to check. Yeah.
I don't know if you are talking about the Creality Cloud or Creality site. If you are talking about the Creality site, I think you refers to the Creality Cloud. That's okay. Yeah, cloud. Yeah, they do have a search bar. It's just on top of the website or on top of the application. You can find a search bar there, and you just type in the keywords of the model you would like to download. They're supposed to have them without. Or if you have other concerns within the clouds, you can reach me out. I can do that for you. My email address is larry@creality.com. Reach me out through this email address and tell me what you are really actually asking about, and I definitely help you out. Stefan. All right, guys, this is pretty much everything, and I hope you have a wonderful day or a wonderful night. And we are, going off of the screen, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, this is Frankie. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you.
Bye-bye.